Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Blue Collar Hockey Talk. Today, we are going to talk about what happened to the Toronto Maple Leafs in Game 7 against the Montreal Canadiens, and much more about what's going on in the NHL. Basically, though, we're going to talk so much Leafs about the 3-1 lead, that falling apart, what this means for the future, who's on the hot seat, what's going to happen next year. Like, are they going to be better, or, they're going into a tougher division technically. But we're going to get to that. I'm joined here tonight with my co-host, Scott Feeney. How are you doing tonight, Scott?
Missed opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't know how you want me to answer how I'm doing, Wes. Missed opportunities, man. Like, we had a team here that should have made noise. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why don't I have a hockey game to watch this week? Like, with the Leafs playing on the ice. Why am I watching the Montreal Canadiens be up 3-0 on the Winnipeg Jets? I don't know, Wes, man. I'm doing okay, but I tell you, I don't know where the hell we're going. I'm a Leaf fan through and through. I love them. And we should still be playing hockey right now. But the fact of the matter is, we got some stuff we're going to talk about, and how, I don't know, man. Wes, take me away. I'm going to hem and haw because I just want to watch Leaf hockey, and I don't have it. I'm a little pissed off about it.
You know what? We're going to talk about Leafs so much. Let's talk about some other hockey news that's going on right now. So the brackets are finally finalized for the way that the Stanley Cup playoffs are going to end up. The North Division winner is going to play the West Division winner, so that is going to be tough for whoever comes out of the North, man. I don't care who you're playing, Vegas or Colorado. That North Division team, they are going to be the heavy underdog. What do you think?
How are they not going to be the underdog? I want to know who in this world had in their bracket a Montreal-Winnipeg round 2 in the North. Because it was going to be either Toronto or Edmonton's coming out of the North, and that's what it was all year. That's what it looked like going into the playoffs. That's what it looked like going into game friggin' 5 with the Leafs. I mean, Edmonton was already out by then. Man, the bracket's set.
Yeah.
You're bang on right. The North Division's going to look pretty, like people called it a joke, but it's really unfortunate how it's going to play out. But you know what? Carey Price, you never know. I really don't want to see it, though. I want to see the North get slaughtered if Montreal's in there.
Yeah.
Go Leafs, go.
I think it'll be interesting because, though whatever team comes out of the West Division, they're going to be so used to playing with big crowds and noise and energy. When they come to the North, man, it is going to be a rude awakening of, say it's Montreal, 2,500 fans. I think it's going to be tougher for them to come to Canada and play and do well than in going the opposite way. Because, man, they're still professional athletes. They're used to playing in front of a crowd. It was weird for them to not play in front of a crowd all year. So I think that is the only caveat to saying they have a chance. That's it. That they can do well at home. Sorry, go ahead.
I hope you're right for the sake of just good hockey. I mean, I think that going to a crowd, though, that's going to be a hostile environment with no one cheering for you. I can't help but think that that's going to be a really weird feeling that way, too. That's going to be an interesting way to just psychology hockey,
But it almost might be a thing, too, where it's like you can embrace being the villain as opposed to being disappointing a giant crowd. Like, if you're going from 0 in your own barn to a full barn, I think that's almost more pressure than going to someone else's full barn.
Yeah, I guess so. It'll be weird.
Yeah,
it'll be weird. I mean, I'm pretty surprised to see that the travel exemption got put up. I mean, I guess for the sake of hockey, the national interest, I guess, is how they put it. I think that's pretty. It's good, I guess, for the hockey teams. But I'm not. I don't know. I guess we're talking hockey here. We're not talking about a hockey players getting treated as elite status over the rest of society. I guess that's not this show. Sorry.
No. But I do think, to me, it's another step towards normalcy. So that's how I'm looking at it, right? Like, hey, At most, this is only going to be 6 games in Canada. That's if a team goes all the way to the Cup Final. So it's not like they're. This isn't baseball where a team is coming up here for, like a week at a time to play a series, and it'd be a bit tougher to really implement the rules. So I just take it as like a step in the positive direction.
You know what? I like how you're swinging me too. My mind goes with you. Maybe it'll be a domino effect. Let's see the rest of the things all start to become
Mm-hmm.
normal. You know, let's get a little bit closer. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, the other side of the bracket is the East Division versus the Central Division, and right now the Central Division, Tampa Bay is up 3 games to 1, and the other series, the Islanders, as of recording this, are up 3 games to 2. So it could be, if those wrap up Tampa versus the Islanders, that'll be a hell of a series, man. Tampa, uh, they, I think they could do it again. They could beat the Islanders again in what would be conference finals, but that's just my take.
Sure, they could, but you know what? Like the Islanders are showing that 4 lines of hockey, buying in on all levels, playing with nothing but heart and determination. Um, they just play a hard style hockey game, and look at the goals that come from it, man. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
playing the Boston Bruins. We recorded a week ago, and we were talking about the hockey pool that we're in, and I thought that my pool was going to be shot because I
Yeah.
thought for sure the Bruins going to walk all over them. But the Islanders, I guess, just keep betting on Barry Trotz, keep betting on Lou Lamoriello, because these guys know how to get it done.
Yeah, they definitely do, man. I can't argue with you there. I always get lured into the flash and dash, and that's my problem. And you know what? That's why I'm a Leaf fan. Is because I like the fancy stuff. And we got to talk about that right now. We're gonna go talk about Game 7, man. 3-1 loss to the Montreal Canadiens. That score was more flattering than the actual game. Nylander scored the lone goal in like the last like 2 minutes of the game for the
It was a
Leafs.
garbage goal. It was
Oh
like
yeah,
it's garbage time in
yeah,
garbage time. Do you know?
that's it. It's just, you know what? I'm happy he got the goal because then we can't say, hey, we were shut out 2 games in a row or two years in a row on do or die games. Like that's the only thing that it gets. A neat little stat is Nylander scored the first game of the season against Carey Price, and he scored the last game of the season against Carey Price.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah,
That he opened and closed the scoring for the Leafs,
yeah,
against Carey Price.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And you know what? I think it's fitting that Nylander got that goal, even in
Mm-hmm.
garbage time, because I don't want anybody else to get that goal. William Nylander, hats off to you,
Yep.
because I'll tell you, if we are going to talk about anybody that's played well, I'll lead off with William Nylander, followed very closely behind by Jason Spezza. But you got some stats down the list here that we'll get to that after. But I mean,
Sure.
Nylander, I didn't want anybody else getting that goal. I didn't want Marner getting that garbage time goal. I didn't want Marner getting that garbage time goal. I didn't want Marner. You know, like I don't know where the hell our big guns went. What the
Yeah.
hell happened?
Yeah. And I think that is the crux of it, man. This. So we're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna go over the press conferences and all that stuff. I watched the whole press conference of all those guys, of like Keefe and Shanahan and Dubas. And this year, Dubas came out so many times and he said, we will go as far as our big guns take us and our best players take us. They didn't show up this in this series. Matthews got 1 goal, 4 assists. Marner got 4 assists. He actually has 0 playoff goals in the last 18 playoff games, which is mind blowing. So in Dubas's press conference, he never once said they didn't show up. I don't like that.
Me either. Like, I mean, if you're going to hold the guys accountable, like you said it, like you
Mm-hmm.
say, you bet on these boys. And you know what? Like, you've got something here, and I just want to say it. It's, you know, who's on the hot seat? Can we do that right now? Because I feel like it's
Sure.
fitting right here. Like, who's on the hot seat for the latest playoff failure? Do you got Kyle Dubas? Do you got Brendan Shanahan? Do you got Keefe? Do you got the players? Well, I don't know, because I don't think it should be Dubas. I don't think it should be Shanahan. I don't think it should be Keefe. I mean, I'm not impressed with how Keefe came out of that playoff series. I'm not going to lie, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be Keefe. It's got to be the players. But when you've got Shanahan and Dubas both deflecting from those players, saying that we're going to return with these guys, like feeling like they aren't backing up their statement of we're only going to go as far as the big boys are going to take us. Well, you got exited out. You were up 3 games to 1 and you blew it.
Yeah.
You blew it in game 5, in game 6, and you really blew it in game 7. I mean, by game 7, there wasn't a soul on this earth that was going to bet on the Leaf team.
Oh
And
God, no.
and they proved as to why. Like when you had Vegas and the Wild going in, you knew Vegas was going to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
But the Leafs, dude, who the hell's on the hot seat? I don't know who's on the hot seat because everybody got told they're not on the hot seat.
Yeah, I think if the Leafs, if it's this same thing next year, I think one of the big four are going. Like that's not a crazy hot take in my mind. Like there has to be change, right? And like that's just it. I think this year it should be on the players because man, we look at the trade deadline, every move Dubas made, I didn't see anyone out there that was criticizing him. Everyone's like, "Yep, this is what you need. You didn't need Taylor Hall." Everyone thought we have enough scoring. Why would we want him? We have health. Guys are rolling. We had oh god, we had so much talent backing up other talent. Like we had a whole segment about who's in, who's out before the playoffs started, and there were good players that were out, that were sitting for the playoffs, and it just like the depth didn't come through. And you know what? I'm not blaming the depth. I'm blaming the top guys, right? Like, and I think they're amazing players. They just didn't get it done, and I'm not criticizing them personally. They just didn't do their jobs.
They didn't. But when you've got you've got to pick the team up on your back. Like you see guys like Nathan McKinnon in that
Mm-hmm.
first round series or whatever, or I guess they swept that. In it through his first 5 games, he had 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's insanity. Like that's what you got to do. Um, dude, our top boys didn't show up, but like you said this before the show, the best player in our second half, arguably anyways, wasn't playing
Mm-hmm.
after the 10-minute mark of game one. And if we had JT on the ice, you made a great point about how the two center system in Toronto and how it's so deep for us. I mean, I'll let you go on about it if you want, but
Well, yeah, like the whole point of the Leafs is they have two number one centers, and so teams don't have the defensive players available to them to shut down both lines efficiently. Um, and when you take away one of those centers, man, that ruins the Leafs' plans.
it does. It makes it so much. It shouldn't just shut us down.
No, it shouldn't.
Like it shouldn't. And like when I hear we're going to come back with the same core, I'm not a blow it up kind of guy. I'm not, but I don't like hearing that we're not just open. Like I would have rather have heard something along the lines of, you know what? I love our core. Our core of players, they're talented, they're passionate, they love the city, they love the team they play for. But when
Mm-hmm.
you get ousted in the first round every year, I can't possibly sit here and tell you that I'm not going to try to make this team better. I mean, we may very well return with a much similar team next year,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be all ears to grow this team. And
Yeah.
I just didn't hear that. I don't see where the growth is coming from. I don't know where the wiggle room is because the flat cap, if you ever wanted a buyout, if you ever wanted an out from having to keep anyone, it's when your cap got flattened for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we signed this core. Those $11 million contracts came on the books thinking that we were going to get big time cap relief by the cap going up,
Yep.
and it just
Yep.
didn't happen. And that happened after those contracts were signed. Bad luck, Dubas. But
Mm-hmm.
I think he navigated this team this year pretty damn well.
Yeah, he gave the team everything they needed slash wanted. Man, like we are talking about two players here. That's it. We're not talking about the whole team because when you look up and down the lineup, like we said, Nylander showed up clearly, 5 goals, 3 assists. Another guy who showed up, best contract in hockey, Jason Spezza, 3 goals, 2 assists. Like he had an unbelievable series. He was doing the best he could to turn back the clock and throw this team on his back and get them through. Like literally, this is the thing too. I don't want to be trying to tear down the Leafs too much because they were 1 goal away twice of putting away the Montreal Canadiens. So it's not like they got swept like Edmonton, but it still wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough. And I mean, now, like you can say there's always next year. Well, hold on a second about
Mm-hmm.
next year. Next year, we're in a tougher division. This year, we had an opportunity, a great opportunity to run our way into the final four. You know what I mean? We would have, should have.
Yeah.
Didn't. We lost a first round pick by going for Nick Foligno. And I mean, I thought that was a great trade.
Yep. Yep.
Damn it.
I know he's a free agent, man. I think Foligno will be back next year, and I have a feeling it's going to be on a show me contract, like a 1 year contract. I don't know how much money it's going to be. It won't be the $5 million a year he was making on his old contract, but I think the guy he is, the guy he showed, he feels like he didn't get it done. He didn't score a goal as a Toronto Maple Leaf. He was injured for how many games, right? I think he'll be back.
Hey, man, if he has a dream to fulfill, then maybe so. And I mean, his dad played on the team. You can make that storyline pretty good. So we'll see how that one plays out. I don't know where the money comes from, man. Like you've got to sign players like Hyman. You've got to think about what you're doing with Reilly. And I don't mean that in a weird way. I'm not talking out of left field garbage talk. He's going into his final year of his contract.
Yep.
That's when you start to think about what are you going to do.
For
do
sure.
You play a guy with an expiring contract and let a guy like Morgan Reilly walk who could get you all those first round draft picks back? I'm not looking for that because we need to win now. But do you see how precarious of a position it puts us in to think about next year? To think about next year being a big year?
Oh, for sure.
Like these guys are getting older. Contracts are expiring.
Yep. And that's all we have to think about now, man, is next year. And it's such a shame. And we have the expansion draft to worry about. And we're going to lose a player this year, right? Like, I think the Leafs are going to protect 4 and 4. And the 4 up front are going to be the big 4, right? Like Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, and Marner. Like they're going to be protected. And on the back, it's going to be Reilly. Oh God, who was their big sign last year? Brody, Hall, and Muzzin. So, I think Kerfoot's out the door.
Me too. It's Kerfoot or Dermott. And I think that if Kerfoot, the way that Kerfoot played in the playoffs, why would you not pick Kerfoot over Dermott? Like I'm with you, man. So there's a few $1 million off the books, but he was one of the guys that showed up in the playoffs. He actually showed up for several shifts.
He did, man.
He really, truly did.
And I think, well, you know what? The wound is fresh, man. You think of the up and down play of this team, you can't complain about the second line, third line, or fourth line, how they played in the playoffs. And it's just the first line didn't pull their weight, man.
First line didn't pull their weight at all. Do you want to know what else I noticed? We said this in a previous show, I know. But we have no point shot at all. Like there's no two guys on a point passing it back and forth with a big cannon. There's not happening. There's one guy that's playing quarterback and they kind of rotate back and forth on top circles. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you look for the cross seam pass a couple times. If you don't see it, then you throw it around the back of the boards to try to mix them up. And it was just, I'm not a big time hockey coach and I was able to see that. I want a point shot. Like if we're going to look anywhere, if you're looking at anywhere to build this team, we have an $11 million forward, $11 million forward, a $7 million forward. We're about to try to sign another $6 million forward with Hyman. If you're talking about him, I don't know about Hyman, man. He didn't sound like a boy that's coming back. Sorry to shift a little bit there, but when his post-game conference, he sounded a lot different than last year when he said, I want to win a cup here. I see myself being here. I want to be in Toronto. This time it sounded like a guy that really realizes that there's a big payday waiting for him.
And you know what? He deserves every cent he can get, man. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if the Leafs offered him like a 7-year, $4.5 or $5 million contract, something long with a lower number, just to give him all the years all the money that he deserves. Because I don't think another team is going to sign him 7 years. I think the Leafs would do that just to keep him under the cap.
Yeah, but I think that he'll be a pretty hot commodity. Like I do think that he'll get a $6 million kind of offer, and I don't know what you're going for. Like if I'm Hyman, I'm staying in the team that's brought me up, that loves me, that looks like they want to take care of you. Your bosses love you, your fans love you. You haven't made. You have a side business, several. Like he's a smart man. Holy smokes, is he ever? Like he'll make the right choice. I hope the right choice is Toronto, but I don't know what the right choice is for him.
The thing is too with the expansion draft coming, they're not going to sign anyone between now and then. Because like, why would you sign a guy and then just have to protect him? Because that makes no sense. And I think that's where all that the Morgan Reilly trade talk is coming through too. Who knows what's going to happen with him, man? He's a great defenseman. I don't think he's an amazing number one defenseman. I think he's a good number two defenseman.
Yep.
And with the way that the cap is, how much of a raise is he going to get? Like, he's making $5 million a year, I think. Brody just signed that.
I don't know what he's going to make, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's that the market's different. But like, I don't know if they're going to enter. They are going to enter the season. They haven't mentioned a word about him.
No.
Like, not a word. I want to say they're going to enter the season with him, even if he's not inked to a new deal. I don't know. That could be somewhere that they make a trade, and they could still land a big number one defenseman in replacement, and have pieces back for. You never know. Like, I love Morgan Reilly, but you just never know. Like, something has to give, and they said it. The top four aren't going anywhere. Well, then that has to come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It just does. And I mean, you start looking down the list, and it's my eyes fall on Reilly, and I don't want it to.
Well, a guy we know isn't going to go anywhere is Jack Campbell, because I think he's going to go into, barring some kind of trade we don't see coming, man, he's going into next year as the number one goalie for the Leafs. Anderson isn't coming back. There's no chance that Anderson's coming back in my mind.
I haven't seen it all year. I mean, it's been, the writing was on the wall. This was supposed to be, ride a goalie on a contract year and then say bye at the end of the year, because that's just where he is in his career and where we are on trying to win the cup. We need goalies that are going this way on the plateau.
Yeah.
And Anderson's not. So no, I mean, and even somebody that says if he comes back on a smaller term, well, why? Why do you want that? Like, for what? Like, I just don't understand why we're going to do that. And that's not anything against Anderson. He was a great goalie for our 5 years, but we didn't have the success in the playoffs, and it's not because of Anderson. Look, Campbell just had a .934 save percentage, and we're not out. We got ousted in the first round,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do, because I think with Jack Campbell, with his injury history, you don't want him playing more than like 55-ish games. So you're going to need to get like a 1A backup goalie to pick up the slack there, because we're going to go back into a full season. And think of it too, man, next year the divisions all go back to normal, the travel is all back to normal, the season is going to be starting a little late. It's starting like, I think, mid-October next year, and they're going to the Olympics next year as of right now. So there's that break in the middle of the season, and they still need to wrap up the playoffs by, like, usually this is the Stanley Cup Finals are finishing right around now. So good luck getting all that in.
This is very true, buds. This is very true. Now, I want to just on the fly, just take a real quick second here and say congratulations big time to Taya Curry, the first female to be drafted into the OHL. That is awesome. I've got two little girls. I'm going to tell you right now that are going to be following this young lady's career. And that's really cool to see. So I just wanted to say hats off. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Where did she get drafted to again?
She got drafted to Sarnia Sting.
Okay.
So and I think that's neat, because Sarnia Sting are just they're a fun hockey team to follow in the OHL. At least they have in the past. So
yeah, and
man, pop back up in that.
Talk about things going back to normal. Junior hockey, I don't watch it all the time, but I still love tracking it, man. I love watching the Memorial Cup though when that comes around, because that's just fantastic hockey, and you get to see all those guys that are going to be drafted in the NHL, or guys that have been drafted that are going to be in the NHL the next year. It was just a shame this year that they couldn't get off the ground and get going.
I agree. It sucks that didn't happen, because it's inspired hockey when you got guys that know that they're playing with all eyes on them. And speaking of absolutely no eyes on them, Canada won the World Hockey Championship.
Yes,
that was pretty cool. Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, after starting the tournament 0-3, they lost to Latvia, which has never happened before in Canadian history. they came all the way back and they won the whole thing. Like, good for those guys.
Big time. Like, that's awesome. Canada Heart was on display there. That was really cool. It was refreshing to see, even though I didn't watch a lot because it really wasn't televised all that much until the end.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back on the topic. Sorry, but
No worries,
just a
man. Uh,
couple shout outs there.
I think we've covered a lot of it when it comes to the Leafs, man. Like, so one thing I don't know if I said it already, but I want to make it clear. If Tavares played, I think they win. Like, without a doubt in my mind, I think they would have won that series.
I do too. But Wes, when it all comes down to it, I just don't understand how we didn't win that series. Like,
Yeah.
I know we would have won it if JT was in it, but at the end of the day,
Yep.
how did like a team that was we were up 3-1? Rough.
Yep.
Go Leafs go. I can't wait till next year, but I just can't. Why do I have to say that? Why did Doug Ford have to open up the golf courses? That must have been it. You know, the
Yeah.
courses were closed. Leafs weren't thinking about golf. That's a bad joke. Sorry.
Maybe. Who knows? Like, it just sucks having to do this post-mortem on this team, man. And you know what? I will stand by my words. I said at the beginning of the season, this is a failure of a season when it comes to the Leafs because it was all about the playoffs. I said the whole time, I don't care if they win the division, if they come fourth in the division. If they don't win the playoffs, it's a failure of a season, and that's what it is. I'm sick and tired of saying we have to learn from this and learn from that. I'm like, what do you mean you have to learn from this? Like, you've had series after series after series to learn, and you still haven't learned anything.
You know what? This you're 100% right, but sometimes weird things happen in hockey. The Masterson
Mm-hmm.
Trophy, I just said to you there earlier. You know, the 3 finalists for that, the outstanding player of the regular season. 3 finalists: Sidney Crosby, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, all 3 out first round. That's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, it absolutely is. I almost think it's bad for hockey that their superstars are gone. You know, it's just crazy. Like, I think Boston has more superstars on their team than any of the teams remaining, really, uh, which is crazy to think because it just doesn't seem right. Where if you have the best player in the world in Edmonton, you shouldn't be swept.
No, man, they shouldn't be swept. They should have had some serious success by now.
Yeah.
Like, but do you know what? So should have the Leafs.
Yep.
Both of us should have. These two fan bases, man. Like, talk about getting put through the absolute grind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Leaf Nation, I get it. I passionate, like hurt. Um, going out and maybe even buying a Seattle Kraken jersey. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're a Leaf fan. And to the absolute bonehead that tossed that Doug Gilmour jersey into the fire,
Yeah.
I was so glad to see Doug Gilmour call him out. I
Mm-hmm.
really was.
Mm-hmm.
Because, guys, like, do you realize temper tantrums? Come on. Be
Mm-hmm.
hurt, though. Leaf Nation, you should be. Because this one hurt. We just lost to our rival 3-1. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Next year, I don't know how it's going to be a very interesting summer.
Yeah, and I think it'll be an interesting season because, like I said, it's going to be so condensed. I think it's really going to. There's going to be so many weeks of 4 games in 1 week, you know, and that's why they need to get another good goalie to help out Jack Campbell. I don't know if Riddick is it, but they're going to have to sign someone out there who can really help them out. God, the other thing I want to say about the playoffs too, man, it's like it it just sucks so much, man. It just rips your heart out when they lose the way they did. Because if they showed up in Game 7 and if they lost in overtime, it wouldn't feel as bad, I think.
No, like, but the fact that last year when you were in Game 5, which was a Game 7, and it was a best of 5, right, against Columbus, if I'm not mistaken, we lost that game 5-1. You know,
That last game, I think we were shut out, actually.
holy crap! Like, I mean, so what I'm saying is that in the game that you're back, that is a must-win game. We can't keep being the team that didn't show up. That's why I just don't understand how it's not on the players. Because I'm not looking for a big blow up. I'm not. But you can't say it's not on the players because it is. The pieces were there to get it done, and it just didn't get done.
Well, there is a bit of a rant I kind of want to go on, and like what it is the NHL to me is number 4 when it comes to the big 4 sports leagues. We have the markets, and Toronto is one of them, where it's really loud, really noisy. The Leafs don't show up, you're going to hear it. And people say, oh, you get it bad from the press, you get it bad from whatever, the fans and all this stuff. Man, you go to other teams, they are so jealous of the Leafs that they get this much coverage. Um, but the problem is it's easier for the players to play there, right? Like they go there, they don't have a good season, they have a good season, you know, you're it still is what it is. Like you're making great money, you're living the life. Um, but you think of it, these guys, like let's talk about Marner for instance. He grew up wanting to win the Stanley Cup for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If they don't win next year, say he gets traded, he goes to wherever, he wins the Stanley Cup there, that's great. He still gets his name on the trophy, but he still didn't accomplish his dream. And I think that's the thing that these guys really need to remember is winning in Toronto means a lot more than winning somewhere else.
Big time it does, man. It means statues.
Mm-hmm.
It means a meal ticket for life. It means you're taken care of by the organization forever. Do you see how many times you see the legends of the Leafs? And
Mm-hmm.
like these guys are holding positions. They're getting paychecks. And you
Yep.
think that they're actually doing like come on, man. Like this team is just taking care of their guys.
Yep.
Um when things are good in Toronto, it is good. But you know what? It's not good right now. And I don't know, man. Marner's probably going to find a cabin somewhere for the summer
I hope
because,
so.
like, I don't know. Like, walking down the street, like, the world's a cruel place right now. Have you seen how things are going? Have you
Yep.
seen how the debates are on just anything in this world? I don't know. Like, I feel bad for the guy. Like, I'm not going to hate on him, but, like, you didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would let you walk down the street and still say, "Hey, bud, you're my kid's favorite player,"
Mm-hmm.
because you are. But he's gonna have a rough summer.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's gonna be a lot of soul searching. But you know what? The flip side is, man, it's good for these guys that this happened this year, because next year it's October is the season starting. We're in June, man. Like usually when you get knocked out in the first round, this is what like April ish.
Yeah,
So you're sitting there for like 5 months. This is a short off season for these guys. So they do have the opportunity to take their time, but then they get back on the horse, man, and they can show the rest of the league that they weren't just kings of the north, that they are a good team and they can win against anyone.
I truly do think that Austin Matthews has a fire and a half in his belly.
Mm-hmm.
That guy, you can just see it. You can see it on him. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's in him. I don't know why the puck didn't go in for him. 34 shots. I thought I heard something silly. Like that couldn't have been. I just pulled that out of my ass. But
That's his number.
anyways,
Yeah.
that's why I said that. I had
Yeah.
to just moving on. But yeah, man, like I don't know. Um, I think that we're going to see an unreal season next year from him because unfortunately, the guy unfortunately he just won the Rocket Richard
Mm-hmm.
Trophy, and I'm not ever probably going to really talk about it a lot because it's an individual award. It was cool. It was wicked. First time a Leaf has done it, but when you come into the playoffs and lay an egg,
Yeah.
that's what I remember. So now it's next year's all over again. It's all about the playoffs, but it's going to be even a harder path to get there, man.
I don't think it's gonna be harder to get there. They're gonna have more teams to actually play that aren't good, man. Like Buffalo's not gonna be good next year. Detroit's not gonna be good next year. They get to play them multiple times this year. The worst team in the division end up being Vancouver. The second worst end up being Ottawa. Those two teams were far better than the worst teams in other divisions.
All right, name the top three in our division, man. You've got Toronto, you've got Tampa Bay, you've got Boston, you've got Florida, you've got Ottawa that's up and coming. Like and you got Montreal.
Montreal, yeah.
You've got these teams. Three of them are going to make the playoffs, and the fourth one's going to be a wild card.
So I think the Leafs are gonna make it. Boston always makes it. Tampa's gonna make it, right? It wouldn't surprise me if the two other wild cards came from our division. If it's Florida and Montreal, right? Like tell me,
too.
When you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, I don't see teams that are hands down better than them.
Fair enough. But then you get back into the playoffs.
Yep.
and then it's all over again. Can you imagine the amount of pressure next year? Like you
Yeah.
thought there was pressure this year. Oh boys.
Yeah.
Like
It
I'm
just
sorry,
sucks.
Leaf Nation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I just want to watch a hockey game tonight that has the Leafs in it. Damn it.
Well, I guess that kind of puts a bow on the whole season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a failure. It was disappointing. It was a fun ride. You know, we got to see Joe Thornton as a Toronto Maple Leaf, Wayne Simmons as a Toronto Maple Leaf. Don't think either of those guys are going to come back. But yeah, it still just plain sucks.
Yeah, man. And I hope that we bring back Jason Spezza.
Yep.
Joe Thornton. He didn't seem to have the best of times this year. Eh? I bet you if
No.
he was to be honest, say, rank this amongst your favorite seasons, it's not going to be up there.
No.
Couldn't possibly be. But he was a hell of a teammate. He was a hell of a team player. Hats off to him too. You know, I mean, the guy showed up in his 40s and he didn't win a cup. How about next time if we go for some veterans? How about we get some veterans that have won a cup? Just
Hey, why not? Right? You got to mix it up a little bit.
We're just going for our first cup with a bunch of guys here. But anyways, you keep going with your thought there, bud.
Well, here, how about we just move on to this date in hockey history, and then we put a bow on the show. So in 2004, I remember this, man. The Tampa Bay Lightning edged the Calgary Flames 2-1 in Game 7 of the final at St. Pete's Time Forum to win the Stanley Cup for the first time since they entered the NHL in '92. And the victory was especially sweet for Dave Andreychuk, who was playing in his NHL record 1,759 games, regular season and playoffs, during his 22nd NHL season before he won the Cup. I remember that series, man, because I was cheering for Calgary so hard, and I couldn't believe that Tampa won it.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I remember seeing a very young Le Cavalier holding that cup up over his head too, if I'm not mistaken. You know, that was a pretty magical team, really. Dave Andreychuk, all Leaf fans around are going to love him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way you didn't have a little smile on your face for that. But am I not mistaken to say that Calgary kind of got robbed in that, though? Like they had a puck go across the line?
They did. In Game 6, I think they had a puck go across... Or no, you're right. In Game 7, they had a puck go across the line, but there was no review or anything. And, yeah.
That cup should have been theirs. Like they should have won the game.
It should
have
been
anyways,
theirs. Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not trying to ruin that hockey day in history, but it's the same damn day.
Yeah, exactly, man. And, hey, man, the Lightning ended up winning. Then they were a joke of a franchise for a long time, and they rebuilt and they won again last year, and they could win again this year. So I don't know, man. It must be awesome being in Florida playing hockey.
Take a look at how they're built. Okay, you want to resemble a team? Like, I mean, if we tried to, are you telling me that our Reilly was their headman? You know what I mean? Well, like that's not that. Reilly's great. You said it. A good number 2. Hedman's a great number 1 on every team in the league.
Yeah.
You know, like we need somebody like that. So Leafs, let's go get somebody like that. Let's go win a cup, man.
Win a round. Like
win a damn round.
Yeah.
I am too.
Yeah.
But I want more than that. Like I do, but like I know that that's got to be the goal. But like I don't want to just put so much focus on it. Like that's how the pressure builds onto that first round. Such a monkey, man. Such a monkey.
It is. Well, I think that wraps it up for tonight, unless you got any last words about the Maple Leafs.
I don't know what else to say about them. Like, hang in there, Leaf Nation. It sucks right now.
Yeah. That's about it. And we can't even end with our regular Go Leafs Go because they're not playing for months and months. So
they're gone.
Yeah, they've gone. Golf,
they're
Leafs,
gone.
Golf,
Like,
Leafs, golf, right?
That's exactly what's going on. But I mean, in all fairness, Wes, like we're gonna come back. Let's figure out how to do an audio version of this too. I'll figure something out with that because you rock on all of this. So thanks a lot for this season. It's kicked it's kicked ass, but thanks.
All right, man. My pleasure. And yeah, man, we will be back when we're back.